going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the Victory Life Legacy Podcast and Spotlight. Today I have a familiar friend, longtime friend, my brother, former legend at Virginia Tech, and also Mason, and a great high school basketball coach at LC Byrd, state champion, and also my Virgo brother, Troy Mans, joins the Victory Life movement and podcast. How you doing, Troy?
I'm doing good, man. You know, it seems like the older we get, the better we were. So keep going with that legend. I like that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you were a dog. I mean, you're a dog. I mean, I do think, there's certain terms and words people misuse. Or I see some of these kids calling people legend. I'm like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I agree.
But it is what it is, man. Troy, you and I had a great conversation we're going to dive into a little later. But I want to start off, man, talking about your squad. You guys are quietly good. I had been reminded actually by Hayfield's coach, Carlos Poindexter. I had him on the panel with some Northern Virginia coaches, and he reminded me that Byrd was in 6. I was like, oh, yeah, because Holland Springs is back in 5. I feel like y'all flip-flop.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about your squad this year. You guys are off to a good start. Quietly, I don't really think nobody's even talking about y'all, man.
And hopefully we can keep it that way. Just keep sneaking up on people. I love my team. This team is one of the. I'm having more fun with this team than I've had in years past. Not that the other teams weren't fun. This team is just unique, man. They are, first of all, it's the smallest team I've ever coached. My tallest player is 6'3".
Wow.
Yeah, and so when we come out. It's like the opponent's fans look at us like we almost a JV team. That's how we look. So I don't take offense to that. But these kids, man, I love this group of kids. They are so much fun. They play so hard. And the thing that you want as a coach, more than anything, is you want buy-in and you want kids who are going to listen.
Yes.
Execute what you're trying to get done. They ain't got to be great. Just do what I'm trying to get you to do. And these things will work out. And these guys, they got so much heart. They got so much grit. I go to Wawa every morning. And for 15 years, I've been going to the same Wawa. And somebody stops me every morning about the team, which is a good thing. And they say, man, y'all so small. Y'all so this. And I said, I wouldn't trade them for anybody. I love this group. We have fun. It's funny because they make fun of us, as me and I have an assistant coach, Marlon Lancaster. We're older. And of course, Chris Hannon's with me as well. He's much younger. And so the older you get, especially with this generation of kids, man, they don't think anybody's good unless they see it.
Unless they see it.
They got to see it. They got to see it. And it's got to be, if it's online or if it's on the internet, it's got to be in the right frame and everything's got to be perfect. And so the kids invariably, somebody will always Google me and look me up because I don't even tell my students I played. And they'll Google me and look me up. And they'll find a game or two. But I try to tell them, I used to play against, and who's the best player to play against? And I tell them all the time, I name names. And if you ain't do this and you ain't do that. And so one kid came up to me and was like, Coach, man, you so old. Your highlights was in black and white. Or all your highlights on VHS. And so the black and white one, I got mad. I said, man, I ain't that old, man. What you talking about? VHS? I was like, hold up. Yeah, you're right about the VHS. But we have fun, man. We have a lot of fun. I push my guy. I'm not the easiest guy to play for. And most people know that by now. I push and push and push. And these kids, man, they are responding. So I think we're 4-0 right now. And I just look forward to an exciting 2026.
Yeah, you talk about, I know we talking about Byrd, but, it's so funny, man, because, you and I both have sons, and I talked to Isaiah. Now he's 19, and he has a much better appreciation for guys like yourself and other people. So, I'll have stuff on, I'm a guy that's a historian. I love it. I love, looking back and reflecting. And, a lot of times you see me, I post highlights and videos of classic games and matchups, and Zay's always like, yo, he played against him, or he was like that. Me and my wife, Shanice, we talk about how good you were and all the, the guys you played against, Allen Iverson and all. And he was like, hey, yo, for real? He was like that? Or I showed him one time, Sharon. But you're right about the generation thing, because I remember one time, man, I was around I'm always around teenagers talking to them and, mentoring. They were like, questioning how good my cousin Mike Vick was. I was like, hey, listen.
Out of here.
Hey, yo, y'all don't understand.
Stuff like that. I'm like, hold up. Talk about me. You can question me. All right, that's cool. All right. This man changed football. He absolutely changed. I'll never forget, right? We were in school and I was in graduate school and Mike was redshirt.
Mm-hmm.
And so I asked you, because he came to the gym, they played pickup. Now, he wasn't really a basketball player, but he was an athlete.
Yeah.
He was a very good athlete. And so we were in McComas. They had just built it.
Yep.
And so we're playing and the game is over. Real cool dude. And I saw you that night. I said, so how good is he in football? Because I'm watching him on the basketball court. And you said, nah, man, my cousin, the real deal. You was like, I ain't saying it because that's my cousin. I'm just letting you know he the real deal. And so we were just talking about, me and Laura were just talking about one of those games. Which one was it? West Virginia, when he won it by himself at the end.
Oh yeah, West Virginia, or at the Miracle in Morgantown.
Yeah. We were talking about that game and how it's. I think the biggest issue I have with my students, and we talk about this in class all the time. I say, y'all, your generation, it's not your fault. Y'all have an appreciation for history. And your generation is going to miss out. We go back and forth about hip hop music. We go back and forth about Michael Jordan and LeBron. And the insight that they have is crazy. It doesn't make any sense. But it's just, I listen to it and I appreciate it and I respect it because it's their perspective. And as you get older, you start blending years together. Kids should not think Michael Jordan is the greatest player of all time. They should. They should. Yeah. When they go back and watch the games, and it's funny, JJ Redick talked about guys playing with plumbers and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They go back, and basketball was so different. And every year I'll try to explain to kids in my class or my students about how different basketball was. Like I talk about how guys celebrate now. Everybody's celebrating, they putting the guns in the face and they shooting them up and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, so we had these conversations and I'm seeing kids get technical fouls for this stuff now, which is good because it's kind of getting out of hand. And I'm like, in the era and generation I grew up in, okay, whether it's Roanoke, whether it's Hampton, whether it's Richmond, we all grew up in the park.
Yes.
And you had to be who you said you were.
Mm.
So one of those things where if you foul me hard, and I say foul me like that again and see what's up, you had to foul me and something had to happen.
Yeah.
And it wasn't going to be everybody going to break it up. No, you going to start it, you going to finish it, and then you're going to keep playing. See, these kids don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have any idea about that. So they shooting each other in the face and calling all these kind of crazy names. And we had these conversations. I'm just like, basketball has changed. It's guys have gotten fake tougher on the court, but the game ain't tough no more.
Hey, listen, you opened up Pandora's box. So like one time Isaiah had some of his friends over, his teammates. He was home, I think, on Thanksgiving break, and me and Shanice were talking. Shanice caught me off guard with this because, she said, the problem with y'all is y'all have made with Instagram and Twitter and Snapchat, y'all have, and these Barstool accounts, y'all have made trolling fashionable. And she said the problem is a lot of y'all ain't really been punched in the face.
No.
Yeah. Because the stuff, not to pick on John Moran and other guys, but the guns, because I caught Isaiah doing that one time. I think it was like a month ago. He had a 3 and then did and I was like, when you start doing that? He was like, I was just having fun. I said, man, listen, you ain't like that. You know what I mean? No. But he was just having fun. But I mean, that's what they do. I mean, I think it's not so much as about accountability. That's part of it. But I think it's just, we all mimic what we see. But you're right. I think the park, like, because you played in the park and you played against some beasts. I mean, I was telling some kids that they were like, hey, yo, Coach Vic, who was your trainer? I said, I ain't have no trainer. First of all, we didn't have no money. I said, no trainer. I said, we played at Park Place, across the tracks from Shell Road, where I grew up at. We would play against guys in the shipyard. I was playing, Langley Air Force Base. We go, to Fort Monroe, Fort Eustis, and hoop against guys that were 27, 34, 26, 22. And they would look at me. I was like, yeah, but it's a different time frame, man, and mindset. Talking about your players, when you say you really like this team, what's interesting is, people forget. I mean, I watched it online. I couldn't make it to VCU, but um, was it a year ago or 2 years ago? You guys lost to Woodside in the state championship.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about that team, man. Like, we didn't get a chance to talk that day. You just told me, like, your point guard play wasn't what you wanted it to be, but the team came together at the right time. I think y'all had that buzzer beater, and you made it to the state championship. Lost to a tough Woodside team. They had Silas, who's at UVA right now. They had the guard that's at Norfolk State. I'm a big fan of his. They were a really good team. They went back to back, but you got your team to that state championship, man. Just reflect on that game and that team, man, because that was I don't want to say overachievement, but I think that was one of your better coaching jobs.
No, they definitely overachieved. And okay, so we did some, analytics are the new big thing now. So the year prior was your senior year, and we had lost like 85, 90% of our scoring. Okay. And coming into that season, nobody had averaged combined. The starting five didn't average 10 points. Now, one of the things, and it's not me doing it, it's just kind of happened in my program. Whenever I have a good player and they leave, the group after them always does well. And in my opinion, it's a reflection of their leadership. I had Kenny Williams years ago when he played at UNC, and he came back the other day and worked out with us. He's in Spain making a whole bunch of money. Won't give me none, but he's making a whole and so when he left, Pinky and Mario came after him. They ended up winning the state championship. So I had Charles Falden that played for me, ended up playing at JMU and Winthrop. I followed those guys, played with King, those guys. So after Yuri's group graduated, the expectation for this team was very low around the community. And for me, it wasn't. It just was one of those things where I think if you push kids, all right, let me back up. I think one of the most important things a coach can give a player is confidence. There's nothing more important than a coach giving a player confidence. And so many times coaches take confidence away from kids. Where if you give a kid confidence, a kid will do things that they didn't even realize they were capable of doing. Okay, as people, if people believe in us on our job or just in society, we're gonna do better. And so I think that is one of the things that I do with my players. I want them to feel like they can accomplish goals if they put the work into it. And so our goal every year is to win the state championship. It's not about winning the regionals, and back in the day we had districts and all that. We want to win our last game. I did it as a player in high school. I did it with that 2017 team, with that group I just talked about. And I want to do it again. That's our goal every single year. And so with that team, everybody always talked about who we lost, and we lost a lot. Two of those guys ended up playing college ball. And so, but what I had guys who wanted to live up to the legacy of the players before them. And that's a big deal in our program, because our guys always come back. And these kids grow up wanting, a lot of the kids on our teams grow up wanting to be a part of our program. We have a camp every year, and they come to our camp as little kids. They kind of grow through that project. And so that team, again, listened. The biggest skill and trait that team had, the most important skill and trait that team had, they listened to what we were trying to get them to buy into. And what they began to see was they can win. We got a good strategy. We have a good understanding of what we're doing. If you buy into what we're selling, it's going to work out. And so we played Albemarle. Now, I had played Albemarle in high school, and we had beaten them in the States. Then we had played Albemarle in 2017. We won the state. So we were up 13 the third quarter, or whatever it was we were up. They came back. Long story short, we were down about 15 points going into the fourth quarter the year we won the state championship in the state semifinal game. We ended up coming back. We beat them in double overtime. So Albemarle had just been one of those teams that I'd always paid attention to. So we ended up playing them, and we beat them in the regional championship game. Well, we're playing them in the state semifinals. And the game is back and forth, but I have a good feel for the game. I'm like, okay, if we do this, this is going to happen. If we do this, this is going to happen. All of a sudden, Vic, we can't make a shot in that fourth quarter. I'm talking about, I had a kid that had a breakaway layup. he missed. I had a kid that had a breakaway dunk, he missed. And if we make 1 or 2 baskets, we can put the game away. Well, you know how the games are at the end, they kind of get a little more wild and chaotic, and everything is working for Albemarle. So they ended up getting a foul call. Kid makes 2 free throws. We got 3 seconds left. Same play everybody calls, called home run. The wing swing,
Yeah.
go to the guy in the middle, you hit it. Well, I knew how smart their coach was. And I knew that they didn't want to foul. And I had a young man named Demarion who had the worst luck. He had broken his wrist in the spring.
Mm.
He came back and the year started, he broke his other wrist in the fall. He was a senior, a 6'5", 40-inch. I mean, he was fantastic. One of the best attitudes I've ever, never missed a practice, never complained. And I told him when he was hurt, I said, Demarion, because of your character, you're going to help us win a game this season.
Hey, pause. Isn't that funny how you had to say never missed a practice? Just as a side note.
Yeah,
Because, you know, we never missed practice, but you had to clarify that for this time. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So he never missed a practice. He was that hurt with a cast on. He's bringing guys to practice. And so he's my best athlete. So we throw the ball. We practice this play 1,000,000 times. And I told him, I said, we got 3 seconds. Don't pass it. Because I knew if he tried to pass it, they were going to play the wings. I said, just drive it as close as you can to the basket and get a shot. I'm hoping he gets fouled. When he turns around, he takes 1 dribble and shoots it. I'm thinking we get a 2, we go to overtime. He pulled a 3, and we won the game. I thought, yeah.
Oh, man.
It couldn't have happened to a better person, man. Now, the Woodside game, they were just so much better than we were that it's one of those games. Turnovers are one thing. If anybody's played for me, I'm a big John Chaney fan. He's been the coach of Temple.
Yep.
And so turnovers, I learned from him, is the worst thing you could possibly do in a game. So when I'm watching sports, big Cowboys fan, I know when Dak got 3 interceptions, I ain't even got to look at the score. I already know what it is, okay? But I'm telling the team, you know, if we can keep the turnovers to this number, we got a chance. I think at halftime the score was 5 or 7 points. And then we started third quarter out. We had like 3 or 4 turnovers and it was over. But I couldn't have been more proud of a group, man. That group did overachieve. My point guard play wasn't where I wanted it when it started, but it got a lot better. As a matter of fact, the young man ended up hitting some big free throws and a big shot to beat Massaponax in the regional quarterfinals, maybe state quarterfinals. Mm-hmm. I get them confused. But so it did pick up, and he did end up helping us get to that point. So I was very proud of that team.
You know, yesterday, and that was a great effort. I saw a great effort by y'all. That's why I thought it was one of your better coaching jobs. And speaking of that, man, you talked about losing talent and, you know, to graduation or transfer. I was in Highland Springs yesterday. I was in Richmond area, and I covered the Mid-Atlantic Showcase for girls basketball. I was there for 6 games. Some of the best private and public schools in girls basketball. It was a great event. Talked to Boo for a little bit, but when I saw Boo, and I want you to fill me on this. When I saw Boo, he joked with me, man, you know, I played for Boo's tier 2 teams. I didn't play for those national teams with Iverson and Rutland. But with that being said, I talked to him. I interviewed Coach Dozier from Princess Anne, and he in the post-game presser talked about how he has been coaching for 33 years. And it made sense because they were good back when you and I were playing. Mm-hmm. So then I thought about the fact that I played for Coach Brower, Hall of Fame coach, Mike Smith in football. And then I look at you, Troy. I take notes as I have my guest on. You, Lauren Johnson's been coaching for 18 plus years. Eric Brown's been coaching high school basketball and AAU since 94. And the Highland Springs girls basketball coach, I talked to him yesterday. He's been coaching for 18 years. We are at a point now where Coach Blunt, the head coach of Phoebus, a 4-time state champion coach, just resigned at Phoebus. And you look at the Peninsula District down in my area, they're not that, they're no more seasoned veterans. When you and I played, and it's not about like things are so much better back then, it's just, I'm seeing a trend where guys and women are stepping away on the collegiate and high school level. You saw this with Coach K, Jay Wright at Villanova, Roy Williams. I'm not saying we're in a pandemic or epidemic when it comes to guys stepping down, but the longevity is not there anymore. Because once Dozier retires from Princess Anne, I'm not sure they're going to have that same success. Phoebus had in football, they had Bill D, God rest his soul, Stan Sexton, and then Blunt. But that's hard to duplicate and replicate. That's hard to do again. You have been at Byrd a long time, and you coached at Radford. You coached everywhere. Is there something going on where the game is so different in high school and parents and different things? Is it you guys never get paid what you deserve? But I know it's not about money. But what do you think's going on? That's just my question because I'm seeing the trend. I don't know if you're seeing it too. But it just seems like there's a lot of just movement and change.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw that with the Phoebus coach, and I love football, love high school football, NFL, all that stuff. I keep up with. I was surprised. I was glad to see that it wasn't a bad reason why he was.
Yeah.
Glad that he was leaving under it was his choice. I can't speak for other people. I can speak for why I coach. All right, my parents. I grew up with two parents who went to black colleges. All of my uncles and aunts attended HBCUs. Okay. As a matter of fact, I committed to Hampton initially out of high school.
Wow.
The problem was Hampton was in between going from Division II to Division I.
Oh, yeah.
My grandfather had gone to Hampton. He had graduated in 1937. The Hampton Agricultural Institute is what I still have his diploma. And so college for me was a given. I wasn't a straight A student. I wasn't a perfect student. But at the same time, I was always taught each one teach one. W.E.B. Du Bois. I teach English, so of course. But for me, my family, my parents were always like, when you make it, you don't officially make it until you bring somebody else with you. So yeah, you did it, but who'd you help? Okay. That's why I coach. That's plain and simple. I mean, people. I tell people all the time. I'm a basketball player who just got old. That's why I coach. I can't hoop no more. So I'm gonna play. But I've always, and sometimes financially, it might have hurt me a little bit. I had opportunities to do different things, but I've always wanted to help people. Now, is it always appreciated? No. But you have to go into what you're doing. If you're looking for appreciation from everybody for everything you do, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. And so for me, I've always coached because I wanted to put kids in college. John Chaney said, if you can put a kid in college for 1 year, it will change the trajectory of the coming generations of his family. And I believe that. Just the experience of going to college, not even graduating, just experiencing different cultures and different things from different places and different people changed the outlook of the way people look at things. And so that's why I've always coached. And I understand I want to win. I want to beat everybody, every game.
Yep.
At the same time, nothing makes me feel better. I had a young lady I spoke on the phone with yesterday because I started out coaching girls at William Fleming High School. She's my starting point guard. She got a scholarship to American University, and she called me yesterday, and it just felt so good to hear from her, to know that she was doing well. And so I'm like, hey, I helped somebody. So if I just help one person, then I feel like I've done a good job. Why people are moving at others, I guess I've been very fortunate at Byrd. My administration is very supportive, and my parents are supportive. Like, parents don't realize how much a high school coach does. I talk to college coaches about their kids all the time. That college coach is going to call me before they call them about how that young man is doing, if he's doing well, or if he needs some help with something. Parents don't understand when those kids call me asking for advice when they're struggling at school and things aren't going the way they want things to go. That's what I'm there for. And I tell my kids, if you give me everything you got, when you graduate, ask me for whatever you want. I'll do everything I can to help you. And so I have those conversations with those guys. I talk to those college coaches because college coaches don't want to talk to parents. And so I have those conversations to help. I don't know if parents understand how much coaches do. Now,
Yeah.
with the amount of publicity with things today, I don't know. Maybe sometimes coaches don't have thick enough skin. If you go to a basketball game as a coach and
Mm.
if you expected somebody to say something good to you about you, you out your mind. Okay. When I go up there and they ain't yelling, man, why y'all shooting so many threes? What you doing? Why are you doing that? If I don't hear that, I'm looking around like, hold on, something wrong. You know what I mean? And so you have to understand why you do it. And you have to stick to why you're doing what you do. I've been fortunate enough, I've coached everything in basketball. I coach girls, I coach boys, I coach high school, AAU, college. So, I mean, I've kind of run the gamut. I bounced around a lot before I got to Byrd. But people got to make decisions that's best for them. They have to make decisions best for their families. But they have to have a plan, have an idea of why they're doing what they're doing. So
Yeah, and that's well said, man. And I'm glad you highlight Cheney because there's some men and women in this sport, in this culture that we forget about. Like we joked earlier, but there was some seriousness about your students and the kids I work with because they don't know any better. They don't know where it came from. It's kind of like, when you and I and Lori and all of us are part of the hip hop generation, where I would be listening to something and my dad would be like, hey, man, that's from the Whispers. I'm like, who? He said, yeah, he sampled that from the Whispers. I'm like, what? So,
well,
I'm like, what? Well, whatever it is hot, but like, it's just understanding the connections. And I'm glad you highlighted Cheney. I'll add to your point, man. I sit in the stands. I was in the stands last night, and it's interesting, man, because you guys do so much, and you have to manage so many different personalities that rotate. You and the assistants, the personalities, the pressure. Because one thing I always say now, I'm gonna get a T-shirt with this on it soon because you've been a state championship level coach, a winner, and you won wherever you've gone, and you are a winner as a player, you become a prisoner of the expectations you created. You didn't even you created these expectations. So when Byrd loses in the regionals or in the state quarterfinals, people talk about y'all. And the other thing is, in the last 16 plus years, there's the birth of social media with shows and platforms like mine and all these other bloggers, and everybody has an opinion. Twitter, I mean, everybody's talking about this coach should be fired or they're overrated. And then you have the evolution of rankings with 247 and rivals. That's why I think, I'm not speaking on other coaches either, but I do have private conversations with men and women that coach, and it's really hard. Officiating, it's hard on officials now. It's just a different game. I'm still surprised a few years ago, VHSL approved student athletes to be able to get NIL. But yet we don't have a shot clock. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
I mean, but I don't know if you have a rough estimate. Is there a number? Because you've coached collegiately in high school. Is there a number just from the high school perspective of a rough estimate of how many kids you helped get into the college?
Well, okay, that's fun. I'm glad you asked that because when I came to Byrd, that was my thing. Now my assistant coach Chris Herring has taken it on, and he's amazing with that. He and his brother Jack do that thing with that.
Oh yeah.
The prep league thing. So, I mean, I came to Byrd doing that, and I had kids before at each stop I went to play college basketball. I had girls play college basketball. I had guys play college basketball and guys from Byrd. Now, Chris has helped me out with that tremendously in the past couple of years for sure. But we were counting at Byrd one year, a couple of years ago, we're at about maybe between 35 and 40 kids from Byrd alone have played college basketball at between NAIA to Division One. That doesn't count AAU. That doesn't count the phone calls we get from other coaches, college coaches. See, this is what college coaches do. They'll call a coach and say, hey, man, I heard about a kid. And you say, or they say, hey, man, I'm looking for this. Can you help me with that? And we'll say, hey, well, we may not have it at Byrd, but there's a kid at such and such who you probably can use. I was watching a podcast about a year ago. Now I'm not gonna say no names. And the kid was on the podcast, and basically he was talking negatively about an organization I was a part of.
Oh wow.
And he mentioned politics and why he hadn't, different things hadn't gone his way. Had no idea we were the reason he got his scholarship.
Wow.
Because the school came looking for one thing. We were like, well, I don't know if that's going to fit, but you got to go holler at him. Had no idea he got it. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't mind the criticism. I don't mind any of that. When I go to the game, I expect it. That's what I signed up for as a coach. All right, they criticize you as a player. They criticize you as a coach as well. But again, for me, I get the satisfaction. And that young man has had a prosperous career. He's a professional basketball player overseas. Made a bunch of money. Has no idea the phone calls that we made to help him. But the fact that I was able to do that goes back to my parenting. Who did you help? It's cool if you did well, but who did you help? So that's where I hang it up.
You know, you talk about parenting, man. You had the distinct privilege and uniqueness of coaching Yuri Mans, your son, who I covered him and followed him in high school. I mean, he was one of the most dynamic guards in the 804 and in the state. Mm-hmm. You know, he played for you. He didn't have the senior year we thought he had because you lost a guard, right, to the transfer. You lost two people, right?
No, I lost a Division I guard. During the summer, so we played. That young man was fantastic. He's a great kid too, and we played in the summertime against Isaiah Evans at Duke.
Yeah,
I was telling you about the camp story.
Yeah,
and how well those two guys played against him. It was man.
Well, share the story. Yeah,
well, I mean, we went. All right, we went to Carolina and. It was our first time going because at the time Virginia didn't have a live period. Mm-hmm. And so we went, and he and Yuri went crazy. They both had about 25 apiece. And Isaiah's a phenomenal player. 6'7", 6'8". So he's guarding the other team's best players. And we're just, I mean, I'm not even coaching. It's just straight ball screen, go get it. And these two guys, they were kids who went to middle school together. They were friends. And they pushed each other. And so one guy scored, the other one to score, which was a good thing. And so we set a schedule up to where we gonna play, like I always do anyway. At that time, we gonna play everybody that's good. I'm gonna look at the schedule, who played in the state, who lost, who got returning players. When I was a younger coach, I wanted to play everybody on the road, didn't care who. So I set the schedule up that way, and the young man, you know, his family decided they wanted to do something different in October. The problem was the timing of it. Of course, he left and it hurt us, but leaving in October kind of threw us off a little bit. He went on and he's playing college ball now. He's having a successful career. But it did throw us back. So I commended Yuri and some of the other players on the team, each of them for stepping up. Now, that's the only time in my 16 years where teams are running boxing ones and triangle and twos.
Wow.
And I had never expected that. Again, Chris Herron was like, well, you know, I said, well, how do you think it's going to be different? And he was like, I'm running boxing one. And I was like, man, ain't nobody's ever done that against us. So he had a stretch where he had 25 in 2 quarters, 30 in 2 quarters. He had 40. Then we go play Mitchville. Now we're playing Mitchville. They had 2 Division I guards.
Yep.
And again, I'm trying to put my guys, my seniors, in front of college coaches. Well, I knew it was going to be bad that day when we showed up. And it's at Boo Williams and I at the high school. I'm like, oh, strike one. It's a last minute thing. And it'd be like a fight or something had happened the night before. So they moved it to Boo. Okay.
Oh yeah, it was I think it was a shooting.
Yeah, it was a shooting.
It was a shooting.
So now we're in the back gym. I'm like, okay, AAU. All right. We walk in and then their fans come in. Y'all ain't getting 40, you ain't scoring 40 tonight. Like, okay, here we go. So they end up beating us pretty good. But I just gave those kids credit. I mean, because the schedule we had set up for them was not for that particular group of kids. Like John Marshall was they could have beat us by 100 points that year.
I watched that game.
And it was nothing we could do. It just happened. So we ended up losing in the regional semifinals, but he had he had a really good senior year. And my other seniors did well as well. So I was proud of them for that.
Yeah, because you had a guy. Because my Isaiah's last year, Isaiah played for New World, and you had a guy on that team the year before that ended up at Wagner.
Well, now Keontae, he's at Norfolk State now.
Yeah,
They all played middle school together.
yeah.
They were a very good middle school team. And it was fun coaching those guys. It was a lot of fun. They were all good friends. It was one of the more fun times of coaching.
Yeah, I want to, and I don't want to talk so much about Uri, but you and I had a very powerful conversation, and I want to share with our viewers and listeners. The state of college basketball is in a very funky place right now. It's impacted your son, my son, other kids. I'll be the first one to tell you, Troy, and people that are going to see this when I post this. I've learned so much. You were a huge part of me deciding to prep my son because Isaiah started to, especially as junior, he started to become a wing. He started to ascend. He got better. He worked on his game. And he was hearing a lot from a lot of mid-major D1s. He even heard from Boston College one time. And they were talking to him for a month. They even reached out to Chris Douglas, his AAU coach. And I was like, wow. Because I had to get out of the mind frame of it wasn't like when you and I were being recruited. Because when I got a call from a Power 4 or a mid-major, they came to see you. They offered you. Well, they offered you and came to see you. With Isaiah, it was a lot of phone calls, unofficial visits, a lot of teasing, a lot of flirting, a bunch of DMs. I remember JMU was talking to him. How many did you score? They invited him to the elite invite only camp. He did very well. And then it was like, okay, nothing's materializing. And I called you. I talked to Ace Custis, who's at Virginia Tech. I talked to Eric Brown, the head coach at Hampton High. I just talked to all my brothers and people that I respected, even his head coach, Sherman Rivers. And it was apparent that it was too much uncertainty. So his senior year, Isaiah, my son, was not open to prepping because he wanted to go the traditional route. But full disclosure, he had a lot of interest, but nothing materialized. And he ended up going to Fort Union. I was completely overwhelmed by the change in how recruiting works now. And that was a few years ago. It's even crazier now. Talk a little bit about the dynamic, because you're in the middle of it. You're a high school coach. Here you had a guy you coached in public school that started and had a phenomenal career at UNC. Mm-hmm. And now there are guys, there's a kid that played with my son. He's at Women Mary. He's a freshman. And he's behind a guy that's 25 and 24 years old. Mm-hmm. So this is not to say it's a negative, but it is a challenge. But you have some unique insight. Can you share that?
Well, all right, let's start with prep school first. Prep school was always okay for me because I was supposed to go to Fort Union out of high school.
Oh.
A lot of people didn't know. My senior year, I signed my scholarship to George Mason. And full disclosure, I had blown the state championship the year before. I had missed some free throws as a junior. And so me going to college, I knew I was going to go. I didn't care what school I went to. As a matter of fact, my dad picked my school for me. Mm. And so he told me where I was going. And so I had done so well my senior year that my high school coach was getting phone calls from bigger schools. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, we were entertaining it. Now, prep school for us, during my era, was Flint Hill, Prospect Hall, places like that. And this was for your senior year. So I had opportunities to go to Prospect Hall. My parents weren't like parents today. My parents were like, do what the coach says. That's it. Nowadays parents research and they almost telling you what they want to do. Okay. Which I want to be clear, that's not a bad thing. You're supposed to do research to help your kid. Okay. Our era was different though. We didn't have all of the insight. And so the coach named Stu Vetter was the coach. And so my parents were like, no, we're not going to do that. Now I had some teammates after me who played for him, Curtis Staples, who ended up going to UVA, a guy named Timmy Bash, a really good player at East Carolina. But I stayed. Now, after missing those free throws, my only goal was to win a state championship. I knew I was going to play college. I had an idea I was going to play college basketball. Now, my coach wanted me to go to VMI. We had a point guard before me named Percy Covington who was fantastic, and he played with George Lynch and Curtis Blair, and they won the state championship. Now, they were good. They were number 3 in the country. They beat Lonzo Mourning. They beat Gerard Mustafa at DeMatha. They beat Orlando Vega at Oak Hill. They beat everybody.
Wow.
The last thing I wanted to do was follow him. He was a left-hand point guard. And that's the last thing I wanted to do was do what he did.
Woo.
Okay? So, I knew I would go to college. And so, prep school comes. My coach is cool with Fletcher Eric, rest in peace. And, you know, you're going to work. At the time, Fletcher Eric made you work out. You would run a secondary break, you run pass and cut offense, and that was that. So, okay, we did all that, and I was going to do it. Now, my dad passes away May 25th of that year. And so my mom is be like, hold up, what we going to do? So she's like, just go to George Mason. Okay. But the prep school thing, I had friends, Harold Dean ended up going, Old ended up going, and they had good careers at UVA and Clemson, respectively. But that was something. I was 17 when I went to school. I walked on a college campus at George Mason. I was 17 years old. And so a prep year, we all looked at prep school. If you go to prep school, you get a Division I scholarship.
Bingo.
Yeah, you talk to Coach Eric. Coach Eric would say, okay, what are you thinking? Now, if you're a Radford guy and you talking about Duke, he's going to be like, nah, we ain't doing that. But if you were close, he would let you know. And see, it was based on your ability, one, but number two, it was based on relationships. If Fletcher Eric said you were good enough, you were good enough. Now, I know that because if you look at Virginia Tech, Sean Good, Jim and Dave, and some other guys,
Smitty, yeah.
All them guys played at Fort Union.
Yeah.
So Coach Eric was always there. And so I was able to develop a relationship with him. And so I would once I started coaching, if I had guys in the neighborhood I thought were pretty good, he would let me bring them up there and work out. And so prep school was always on my radar. Uri was a late bloomer. He grew like 3 or 4 inches going into his senior year. Okay. So as we're going and playing, he has a couple scholarship offers. And those scholarship offers didn't matriculate. And it's the craziest thing to me because I'm talking to the coaches that I have relationships. I'm like, look, man, do not offer my players scholarships if they cannot commit today and you're not going to take them. Don't offer. You remember the first scholarship offer you got.
Yep.
Miles from East Tennessee State. You remember it. You don't forget it. Because you knew when you got that first scholarship, you was going to play basketball in college. You knew it. You was a Division I basketball player. And so for my guys, if you did that to my players, I would me and the coach would get into it. And I'm like, don't do my guys like that because I never forgot what that feeling felt like when I got that first scholarship offer. And so we had lost to Green Run in the state semifinals during the COVID year.
Yeah, that's right.
Uri was in the 10th grade, and he had gotten a scholarship offer to Radford. And so everything's cool. We're good. And he ends up getting nominated for All-State, first team All-State.
As a sophomore?
Yeah.
Whew.
He had played well. I mean, he did good. Well, when you coach your son, there's always rumblings about daddy ball or you're showing favoritism to him as the third. So what I would do is, even I coached him at AAU, I would take his awards and give them to other kids. Yeah, I'm like, you're going to get yours, don't worry. So I'm like, you got your scholarship offer. Another kid ended up taking his spot for first team All-State. So he made first team All-State 3 years in a row. I just manipulated it so someone else got it. Okay. Now, back to prep. His offers, he lost his offers and it wasn't because of his play. We were on the phone one day, set up a visit to a school, official visit. I'm talking to one coach. Another coach calls me, and he's kind of like, "Yo, man, I gotta let you know we just got a commitment from a grad transfer." That's one. Another coach got fired. Okay, I got back to the other one. But so you look at a kid who had legitimate offers disappear. Not because he averaged 28 a game as a senior. He's like top 5 all-time scoring at Byrd. And so he didn't want to go to prep school either. I mean, be honest, our kids are spoiled. We did a good job as parents. We
Yeah.
our kids like we supposed to. And so the prep school idea wasn't something that he was excited about, but he eventually kind of got into it. And for me, I thought it was a great experience because you're away from home. He got to play a different position. He played point. He's a shooting guard at the time, and he got to handle the ball, which was good. It ain't easy, but I thought he would have benefited from it, which he had. So as the years going on, we're in a good spot scholarship wise until they changed the transfer rule, where at first you could transfer one time. Now with that rule, we're good. I'm getting phone calls. Chris is getting phone calls, talking to people. Okay, things are moving in the right direction. Once they changed the transfer rule, I think it might have been in January, February, where you could transfer as many times as you want. It was over. The Division I stuff was gone. And so you're mad at everybody, but then you can't get mad at everybody because in this day and time, the college coaches really don't know what they don't know. When they go to practice every day, they don't know who's going to be there.
Yeah.
They don't. They don't. They don't know if they yelled at a kid too much or got on a kid too much the night before. Are his people going to decide to do something else? It's January. Kids already know they're leaving. They already know. And so college has changed so much. I think the biggest issue we had as athletes who were recruited is the fact that we were athletes who were recruited. That's the biggest issue we have with our kids because we know what this process is like.
Yeah.
You know exactly how it's supposed to go. As a coach who had players recruited, I know exactly how this process is supposed to go. You can't. Coaches would get upset because they trying to tell me stuff. I'm like, no, that's not quite right. No, do it this way. And so now you have a situation where you really don't have any rules. So now you have to adapt to it. Okay. Now, the biggest thing that I'm seeing with college coaches is now you can pay kids. Kids can transfer multiple times. You want to get 15 of the best players you could possibly get. If you ever coach AAU, you realize that is not a recipe that's going to be successful.
Thank you.
It can't work. When you are putting a team together, you are putting a puzzle together. Now, when you're dealing with kids that transfer, and I was a transfer kid, okay? And my transfer situation was crazy because I never thought I would go to. I got recruited by Virginia Tech out of high school, but it was so close and I had been there so much. But the biggest issue, they play so slow.
Yep, I remember.
And so I was like, no, I ain't gonna do that. I'm gonna go somewhere else. And so with me, I was going, when I knew I was leaving George Mason, I was going to Old Dominion with Oliver Purnell. A guy named Tick Price was assistant coach there at the time. And it was done. Odell Hodge is an assistant coach there now. That's my man. We played together. So I know I'm going there. Well, long story short, Oliver Purnell eventually goes to Dayton. I don't have no school to go to. So I called my coach because I hadn't really put it out I was transferring. So I called my coach and I'm going to VCU. Tech comes out of nowhere. And you got to do what your parents say. My mom was like, hey, come home and do the visit. I didn't even want to visit it, Vic. My mom's like, come visit. And like my dad chose George Mason for me, my mom basically told me I was going to Tech.
Yeah.
How that recruiting story came about. But that's different though. That's not how recruiting is now for college coaches. So we talk about putting teams together. When you transfer, you can't treat a transfer athlete like a freshman. A freshman, a coach can tell you anything because you don't know what you don't know. You ain't been through nothing. You was a high school star, and now it's the coach's job to break you down, let you know you ain't a star no more, and then build you back up. But see, a transfer has gone through stuff. They already did the breakdown. You talk to a transfer student, a transfer athlete, like a grown man. I bring you in as a transfer because I need you to do this, this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to break you down a bit. You've proven to me you can do that. Okay. I need you to come and give me 10 points a game. I need you to give me 5 rebounds a game. Okay. This is what I need from you. If you're not doing this, you're not gonna play. See, John Chaney always talked about the 3 R's: roles, rules, responsibilities. Role identification is the most important thing I do in my program. My kid, if you talk to them at any point during the season, they know what their job is. If they ain't playing, they can tell their parents why. They ain't gonna like it. They may not like their role, their responsibility, but they know what it is. And that's how you treat a transfer. So what happens when you get 5, 6, 7, 8 transfers and you promise them all the same thing?
Mm-hmm.
Remember, they've been through something. They see what's happening before it's happening. Okay? You done made these promises to him. He gonna get 20 shots and he gonna get this and I'm gonna throw a little money to you just in case to calm you down a little bit. But this transfer knows what's going to happen. So once he gets through all the BS, no, you ain't getting what you thought you was gonna get out of him. You can't, because you lied to him. Whether you want to admit you lied, you did. You weren't accountable.
Mm-hmm.
I always talk about accountability for players, right? You got to be accountable. You got to be accountable. With this transfer stuff right now, what you're finding is a lot of coaches aren't being accountable to the kids. But that's just the way this is. So now you have to learn how to operate in this. I hope that makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense. And I just hate it, man, because I thank God that I had gone through it and I knew to start humbling myself to do research and talk to you and other coaches that I trusted and respected. Because for football and basketball, the two biggest revenue sports, and even some of the baseball and all the other stuff, I talk to parents that have baseball players. It is a different time. And a lot of young men and women are getting caught up. And the hard part is you have a contingency of parents who are delusional, thinking it's 2005, or thinking that what a trainer or AAU or a college coach has told them is valid. Silas Demry Jr., who I've interviewed along with his parents, his dad was my teammate when I played arena football. And he was at Georgia for a few years. Now he's a starting point guard at UConn. When I had him on, Silas Sr. and his wife said, "You have to find a coach that lies the least." And I looked at him, I was like, what? Because at the time, Zay was in high school. So I'm kind of like, I know some coaches lie, and I know it's a business. But then I started seeing on Twitter, because I'm very active on Twitter, I'm seeing these guys in the portal, and they go in here, and then they were like, well, I was told this, I was told that. I'm hearing stories after games from you and other people like, they weren't happy. Him and his agent and the parents were outside the locker room waiting for the coach. I'm like, agent and the parents? You were like, yeah. So this is a very new world, and parents have to educate themselves. It's
Hold on, let me interrupt you real quick. I don't think the coaches initially start out. I think they mean what they say when it starts. I genuinely think I don't think they purposefully lie to the student athlete. I don't. I just think as the year starts going, things start going in the direction that it's just things just change. Let's just say that things
yeah,
change.
yeah,
Now, be talking about rule changes. You talking about money and all these kind of things. Guys got to coach. And I think college coaches are under more pressure now than ever because if you think about it in the spring when they recruiting, and you went through this, you talking to certain schools and you watching them play, and you say, well, what about my son? Or what about this player, this player? Well, I don't know if he good enough. I don't know. Okay, got it. Then you watch the season and you look what they put on that floor. You like, what?
yes,
Are you serious? Are you serious? But I mean, and so yeah, it's the wild, wild west in college. It is. And so the lessons that we were taught, because I asked myself, how would I be as a freshman today? And I laugh because I remember going to George Mason. I couldn't even get picked up for pickup games as a freshman.
Wow.
I'm the last person picked for pickup games at Mason. I end up making an all rookie team. And I'm starting all that stuff. You know what I mean? So you're gonna deal with adversity when you're in college and you're supposed to. But the difference now, as opposed to then, there was somebody on that Virginia Tech football staff when you were struggling that you could talk to. There was a coach that would not talk at you, but actually listen to what you had to say and had confidence that you could make it happen, that you were going to be okay. I don't know if there's a lot of that now. I don't. There's not the relationships that it used to be. The college coaches don't really communicate with a lot of high school coaches like they used to.
Yeah.
Because if Isaiah's struggling, right, and I'm a college coach, I'm gonna call his high school coach and be like, look, what to get going? You know what I'm saying? The fact that you were a former athlete, I'm gonna call you.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Because we gotta understand in here. Because you did this. I'm going to incorporate you in this. I'm thinking that part isn't involved in this thing anymore. It's coaches or recruiting guys, and because it's happening so fast, you don't get an opportunity to develop the relationships with the players anymore. When I used to be a ref and I'd be recruiting, I'm going to high school football games because I want to meet the kids' parents. I want to watch him and see who he hangs out with. I want to know everybody who's helping him make his decisions. I'm going to get them on my side. And if I can get them on my side, then I can get this kid to come play for me. But I knew which buttons to push because I had time to do the research. Maybe the coaches don't have time now. I know the recruiting on the road used to be the hardest part about coaching now. I don't know how much time coaches are on the road anymore. So, I don't know.
Yeah. And I'll add to your point with the confusion in defense of the player in the modern day of high school basketball is during the time, I don't want to get nostalgic and call it the golden era, but that's kind of how I feel like it was. When you and Curtis Staples went against another backcourt in your district, because this is back when the districts in public school were loaded, right? And you and Kurt gave somebody work against another ranked team or ranked player in the state because y'all all know who's nice. It was almost like, okay, if I'm Maryland, if I'm Coastal Carolina, if I'm Marshall, if I'm Norfolk State, who is that? Who's that kid? Right? Because it's so like the kids now, I'm a fan. I love high school and college more than I love pro. And I watch the game, I'm like, hey, yo, that kid right there, man, he gave this kid 20, he gave this kid 18 and 8. And the parents are sitting there like, well, what else do we have to do? He's got a 3.0. He doesn't do this. What is going on? Why is he having to have to go D3 or D2? And for the record, I'm saying that because another life lesson I've learned is D2 and D3 ain't what it was when you and I played. Lord knows. They are beasts. And not to say back in the day it wasn't. It's just that my son, I'll just leave it to what I can speak on. He has 2 former D1 players on his team now. And when we took our visits, Fairmont State had 2 or 3 former D1 guys. So it's just I'm just speaking on my insight and experience. It's very different at times, challenging, and it's at times a process where you have to be very patient and make a very informed decision. I think the hard part also, Troy, I don't know the LC Byrd parents now or the other parents of the kids in your district, but everyone doesn't have the insight that you and Lori have. I mean, you were a talented team. You went to the NCAA tournament. You excelled at every level. You coached collegiately. Some parents are like, hey, Coach Mans, I never played. I don't know what to do. What is the clearinghouse? What do you suggest? Kind of like as we wrap up, what do you suggest they do? Like, this is tough.
The parents that don't know, this is a tough time now because with AAU basketball, things are so cliquish that if you've moved from out of town and you're not like a top-notch player, it's hard for you to get into the know of what's happening. But parents, you need to use your high school coach. Your high school coach, we're not the enemy. And what you don't understand about a high school coach, whether you like us or not, I'll never forget. Got a kid who was a Division I player, ends up getting a scholarship, decides he doesn't want to go to that school, doesn't tell me. I see him playing AAU. At the time, he had a scholarship, you couldn't play AAU. Okay. And he needed the situation, but didn't ask. Me and my staff, we took care of it for him. All right. Graduation day. I'm there at graduation. He's graduating. Want you know his dad cussed me out? Yeah. Right there in front of everybody. Laid into me. I ain't this. I had just gotten off the phone confirming that the kid would get the scholarship and all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So we're not the enemy, man. As a coach, you're gonna have to come to us at some point, okay? And I've been fortunate. I've had way more positive experience with parents than negative. I mean, you're gonna have the negatives, is what it is. But the positives at Byrd definitely outweigh the negative experiences that I've had. But use your high school coach, use your resources. The scary part is, man, honestly, a lot of people just don't know. Starting from the top, the college coaches don't know. Because the NBA, think about the NBA. There are what? 4,000 something positions in the NBA, right? Positions in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's about right. Think about how, is that right? Is it like 4,000?
For positions, or you mean
How many players play in the NBA?
I thought it was 400.
Yeah, it's like 460, something like that, right?
Yeah.
And it's 2 rounds of people being drafted.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's 60 people who get drafted. Think about how many people play basketball. So it's almost crazy to think you could be a pro, right? It's kind of crazy. But then you think about, so if it's 60 positions, half of them positions go to foreign players now. So we got all these guys in college, all these guys in the G League basically vying for 30 spots. I think the piece, I say all that to say this, the part that's being lost is the education piece. You knew when you went to Tech, you was graduating. You was going to make some money being a pro, but you was going to graduate. You knew that.
And I was happy with that. Coming from that, I was good with that.
That part, that is the piece that has been lost in all of this, is the fact that these kids go to college to graduate. That's the whole, yes, you want to play. Yes, and you can transfer as many times as you want. You can be 27, 28 years old playing. Hopefully your credits transfer. But when you finish playing, you got to have something to show for what you put that hard work into. You got to. So going back to what you were saying, parents, you got to use us at some point. You got to use us. You have to make sure that you are communicating with people who are valuable and valuable resources to you. People who are going to tell you things that's going to be the truth, not what you want to hear. You talking to somebody and they telling you what they can do for your kid. Simply ask for proof. Who else have you done this for? Who have you put in college? Okay, I agree. You can put somebody in college. Who else you put in college? Who else have you put in college? All right. If they can't name nobody else, then that's not a resource. It's not a knock on that person. It's just not a resource. So you just gotta. It's a tough time, but you gotta embrace what it is and make the most of what it is. You can't complain about it and be like, "Oh man, ain't like how this was when it used to be." Because now, if we talk about how it used to be before COVID, I could have called and got Isaiah Division I scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we had such a connection with college coaches at that point. We were just placing guys in school. It was that easy.
Yep.
And now it's not like that. So you don't get mad about it. Well, you can get mad about it for a little bit. But once you get over being mad about it, you got to come up with a plan. You got to figure out how you're going to navigate this. And that's the way you can do it. But you can't be one of them guys that's talking about the past. You know what I mean? Can't be that guy. Can't be.
It ain't the past. No. Now, as expected, Coach, man, you dropped a lot of gems and jewels and insight, man. And I want to thank you for your time. Also, man, wish you and the boys at Byrd luck the rest of the way. I think quietly is a good way to describe your season this year because I look at, even though I know you guys can care less, but I look at these rankings or teams to beat. I keep hearing about Lansdowne and Westfield and Patriot, and I'm like, well, Byrd is undefeated, and y'all look. You guys, and you always you get the most and then some out your players. So it'll be good to see how this all shapes out. And this is the time of year everybody's coming back Monday from winter break. So the stretch run begins because you got January and then February get into district play and then postseason play. So as always, I'll be watching. Hopefully I can get to a game. Thank you for joining the Victory Life Legacy podcast today, man. I appreciate you as always. Like I said to everybody watching, I say every episode, make sure you get out here and support these students and student athletes, respect these coaches' time, show your love, get out, and if you can, make it out to a game, but also make sure you subscribe to this channel and make sure that you also support the Victory Life movement. And like I say every episode, no matter where you go, no matter what you do, make sure you leave a positive impact and a great legacy. I'm owner and founder of Victory Life, Dwight Vick, on behalf of LC Byrd Basketball, Troy Mans, and the Mans family. We thank you for watching. God bless. Thank you, Troy.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.